What if I told you you could get a $375,000 house for $0 out of pocket, all through seller financing, and then turn that house into a fully functional Airbnb where your cash on cash is through the roof? Well, it turns out that there's this guy who's mastered this. He's known as the creative finance king. His name?
Hey guys, I'm Pace Morby. People know me as the creative finance guy. I own close to 2,000 doors, about 300 single family and 1,500 multifamily. The majority of those were purchased with no money down or creative finance strategies, just like this house that Robuilt and I are gonna go through now.
So Pace Morby is kind of the guy when it comes to negotiating deals where he puts zero money down through what's called subject to, where he, the investor, effectively assumes the debt that the homeowner has put into place because they want out of the deal for whatever reason. And this particular scenario is pretty fascinating. So we're in front of this house that you just snagged under contract for no money out of pocket?
No money out of pocket. This is a house where a seller bought it about a year ago. Market was at its peak, and then the seller got a deployment in the Army to move to a different state. The problem is he bought it on a VA loan. And when you buy a house on a VA loan, guess what you do? You put no money down, and so he had no equity. The market kind of started dipping, and he had no ability to actually sell the house on the market. Even after 4 months of being on the market, the agent couldn't sell the house. And we got in touch with the agent. The agent says, what can I do? I have no idea what I can do. If the seller gets an offer today, he's gonna have to come out of his pocket to get rid of the house. And I said, no problem, let me take over the payment. Pretty simple.
So I know what you're thinking. Why would any seller do this? And as you heard, the seller actually would have taken a loss to get out of this property because the average closing costs in Arizona come out to about 10% when you factor in things like repairs, closing costs, commissions, and everything in between. And in this particular scenario, the seller was actually gonna have to pay between $30,000 and $40,000 to get out of this property. This is where Pace comes in with creative financing, which can really mean a lot of things, but this is how he describes it.
Creative finance is a way to buy anything without the 3 C's: cash, credit, or credentials. And credentials that we talk about are like, if I go to Bank of America, Chase, and I want to buy a house, what do they ask for? They're going to ask for, what's your job history? What's your bank statements? Show me how many deposits you have. Those are credentials. How long
Basically everything you need to get underwritten on a loan.
Credentials, right? So with a house like this, I don't even apply for a loan. I don't have to show bank statements. My credit is never pulled. I have all these almost 2,000 doors and I've never pulled my credit on a single one of those. So creative finance is a way to buy anything: a car, a house. We've even bought air conditioning units without cash, credit, or credentials.
Okay, so you're probably asking, how is this actually done? So basically, Pace takes over the payments on the loan, and then he has the title company transfer the deed to his name, and then he officially owns it. Now, people tend to get hung up on this and say, wait a minute, how can you be the owner of the property without paying the debt? Is that like my Andy Sandberg? Wait a minute, how can you be the owner of the property without paying the debt? And Pace explained it so perfectly with the simple analogy that I could just replay the clip for.
Okay, so I always tell this analogy,
but I feel smart saying it, so here we go. If you go to the grocery store and you use your Amex to buy, let's say, Chipotle burrito ingredients, you may owe Amex the money, but the food is still yours, right? And the way he put it, ownership has nothing to do with the debt of something. And the way we know that you're the owner of the groceries is the grocery store receipt, right? Well, in real estate, the equivalent of a receipt is the deed to a home, which is in his name. And the crazy thing about Sub2 and creative financing in general is that the whole setup process for this strategy is actually a lot more simple than you'd think.
So what happens is the title company will check and make sure that he's the owner, there's no other debts associated with the house, and they tell me this is the only debt, it's the VA loan, and I pay the title company to put the deed in my name at the county recorder's office. It literally takes 24 hours. So I can knock on this person's door right now and say, hey, would you let me take over your payments? They go, sure, whatever situation is going on. And I next day can own the property that fast. That's what's cool about creative finance.
And the thing about this whole ordeal that was really tripping me up was that it seemed like Pace was buying a bad deal because the house that he was assuming the debt on had no equity in it. Hence why the seller couldn't offload the property themselves, right? So I asked Pace what was the benefit to him to purchase this house via the Sub2 / creative financing route.
I think the thing people forget is that we are not really buying anything but cash flow in this real estate game, right? Why do you do Airbnb? Because it cash flows a higher amount, right? So for me, I didn't buy this house because of the equity. The equity is going to be paid down by the tenant. What do I care what the equity is, right? What I care about is the ability for this property to cash flow. So if I have a $1,200 payment that I'm taking over from this seller and I can go rent this house on Airbnb and generate $4,000 a month. That's the only thing I care about, because I tell people equity comes and equity goes, but the cash will always flow. So let's say you bought a deal last year and you felt like you got a great deal on it, you put 20% down. Market goes down 15, 20%, which is happening right now and it's only gonna get worse. Do you just bail on the deal because you've lost equity even though the property still cash flows?
Yeah, definitely not. Because
Definitely
then you
not.
would lose the equity that you put into it, or the
Right.
money that you put into it.
So what I look at is I got a 1.9% loan on this property. I did not have to apply for. Nobody had to check my credit or do anything. I have a payment that's $1,200. I have the ability to bring in $4,000 a month. I look at that spread of $2,800 a month after expenses and all of the things. I'm gonna make minimum $1,500 a month net in my pocket. So that's the only thing I really care about.
Now remember, this is a creative finance deal, meaning you have to get creative with how this deal benefits all parties. And after Pace explained it to me, I could see what the benefit would be to the buyer and the seller. But since we're effectively cutting out the middleman, i.e. the title and escrow agencies, how exactly is the realtor getting compensated?
How did I get a deal with no money out of pocket, but there was an agent representing the seller? The agreement I have with the agent is that they will make their commission out of my future cash flow. So I even had the agent get paid on future payments as I cash flow on this property.
Are they getting a perpetual percentage of the cash flow?
They're gonna get 2% of the listing. So they sold this house to me for $375. So it's about a little over $7,000 the agent will get.
Oh, okay.
So I'll pay the agent over the course of probably 8 or 9 months, about $800 or $900 a month. Everybody gets paid in a creative finance situation. The seller wins because they avoided getting rid of this house and coming out of pocket. The agent's gonna get their commission, way more commission than they would have just by letting the listing expire, which was the only option they had.
All right, so let's take a quick break to talk about today's sponsor, me. I'm so excited to announce Hostcon. What's Hostcon, Rob? It's gonna be the #1 short-term rental conference in the world. I'm so excited about what we're gonna be offering. We're gonna have masterclass seminars from the leading Airbnb experts in the industry. We're gonna have networking events. We're gonna shoot a live Rob Hill YouTube video together. And my favorite part, we're gonna be throwing the first ever short-term rental game show, and it's all happening in Houston, Texas from January 8th through 10th. All right, so if you wanna attend, you can go to hostcon.co, or you can also click the link in the description down below. Come get in the room with 300 other like-minded short-term rental operators. Come meet me and bring me a Chipotle burrito. And P.S. if you use promo code ROBMOB, I heard you'll get a little something off the price of your tickets. All right, so I'll leave a link in the description down below. All right, now back to the video.
So the question a lot of people might be asking is, where do I find these deals, right? They're everywhere. I stopped doing cash deals probably 3 years ago. It's all I focus on are these types of deals. The easiest place to do it, and I think I've seen you start using it, is Privy.
Oh yeah, love Privy.
Privy's amazing.
Hey, by the way, not an ad for Privy before you guys are in the comments like, this is just an ad for Privy. It's just a service that I've been using for the last month. And honestly, it's just been a game changer for searching and finding off-market deals, and pretty much the main software that I'm gonna be using in 2023 because I plan on doing a ton of sub 2. So if you wanna give it a shot, you wanna try it, I'm gonna leave a link in the description down below. Pace uses it, I use it, it's pretty easy to use, and I'll even leave you a little promo code down there too.
So I go on Privy and I go to the filters and I find listings that have been on the market for over 90 days. And I just call the real estate agents and I say, hey, are you having a hard time getting the asking price? The agents say, yeah, actually, 90 days has been a long time. I'm starting to worry.
Listing is probably gonna expire as well.
Right, listing is now they're like rounding the second base coming towards home on their listing agreement. Like they're running out of time.
Debating if they wanna carry on the listing, probably, right?
The seller does not want them to carry on the listing. The seller now at this point is blaming the agent on everything.
Yeah, so they're starting to look at another agent. This agent's like, I'm probably gonna lose this business.
Right.
Right, okay, cool.
So I never call a listing on Privy that's less than 90 days. I call listings that are 90 days or older. This is how I open it. If I can get your commissions paid, could you get your seller to let me take over the payments? And the agent hears commission, getting paid. They then feel comfortable going to their seller, and then the seller says, whatever we gotta do to get rid of the house. And in 2021, 2020, 2019, you saw the market going really, really high. We bought one of these deals every single week during the upward trend. Now we're buying 2, 3 a week because there's so many people are having a hard time selling their houses.
You hear that, everybody? It's not too late. This is really great. If you're not listening to this, go back and rewatch the last 5-10 minutes, because this is genuinely a way you can get into real estate for very little down or $0 down.
Well,
right?
I could have done so many things. Yeah, $0 down. I could have done a multitude of things here. I could have turned into an Airbnb, which is what we're doing. I could have assigned this and made a wholesale fee to somebody else like me. I could have probably charged $20,000 to assign a contract on something like this. Easy.
Oh man, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah.
Hey, you're doing good work, man.
Thank
I like
you, brother.
it.
Thank you.
Now, a lot of this is new to me and it's very exciting, but it also just seems too good to be true. I mean, I knew that fully executing this strategy would give Pace the ownership of the home, but I still kept going back to the same question. Can the seller change their mind?
Let's say I own the property, which I do. I have the deed on this property. You guys can go look it up. I have the deed on the property. Loan is in the seller's name. Can the seller change their mind at any point? The answer is absolutely not. I'm the owner of the property. The deed is in my name. I remember we established that I could go buy groceries with American Express's money. I become the owner of those groceries. Can American Express come to me and go, hold on.
Give me the money back.
Give me the money back and give me the groceries back right now.
Yeah.
It's more complicated for them to take a house back from me because there's no legal standing for them to do that.
Yeah, because it literally is in your name. The
It
title.
is literally in my name. You could pull up on public record, I am the owner of this property, not the previous owner.
So what about the financing aspect of it? Are you the one that's physically paying the lender? Could they stop paying?
Oh, this is so great. So I don't pay the seller, right? So the seller, I will never talk to the seller ever again. Even though his debt is basically attached to this property, I will never talk to the seller again because I hire a company called Westar Loan Servicing. So Westar takes the money out of my bank account and Westar takes it up to their account and distributes to the HOA, because there is an HOA here. It distributes to taxes and insurance and it distributes to the payment. I don't have to do any of that distribution. The seller, if they choose to do so, can get an email notification saying, hey, payment's been made, everything's great. Okay, so I don't pay any of those payments. And the seller's gone, I never talk to him ever again.
Okay, so logistical question here.
Yeah.
What if this seller is like, okay, they're desperate and they're like, I want to get out of it. They get out of it. And then let's say 5 years down the line, or let's say 3 years down the line, they're like, I'm tired of having this property on my DTI.
Yeah.
Does that ever happen?
All the time.
So what options are there? Can they ever get out of this debt?
Amazing question. So remember we talked about Westar Loan Servicing, okay? So if you have a property being serviced by a licensed servicer, that's what they do. The DTI after 12 months comes completely off their DTI if it's being serviced by Westar or somebody like Evergreen.
Whoa, really?
100%. DTI is
Wow.
off 100%.
That's a genuine reaction right there. Usually I would do 4 takes of me being like,
Whoa, that's crazy.
it actually is kind of crazy though.
It is crazy. Here's the crazier part. So let's say this seller just left. He has this loan still in his name. I have the deed. I'm the owner. He wants to go buy a property down the street, get a loan today. How can he do that if the DTI is still in his name? Well, if you're servicing that loan, immediately 75% of the payment comes off his DTI. It's not
kind of like a long-term rental lease. sort
just
of
like
thing?
that.
Nice.
Just like that.
Okay.
So 75% comes off his DTI immediately because we show it's proof it's being paid by me. And then after 12 months of proof of that, then 100% of it comes off the DTI.
Is your mind blown? Because my mind is blown. This is how you can get into real estate for $0 and Airbnb. A lot of people say, how can I get into the game? I don't have any money. Thus, it takes money to make money and I'll never make it in this game. But as you heard on today's episode of Rob Built, creative financing, sub 2, with the master himself, Pace Morby, this is how you can do it, man. Where can people find out more? Oh, this is so fluid. This is like a very unplanned fluid shot. Where can people learn more about you? I know that you also teach sub 2 to thousands of people. Where can people learn about you on the internet?
Just my YouTube channel, youtube.com/PaceMorby.
Link obviously in the description. What about Instagram? You on there?
I'm on Instagram. If you DM me, I will always answer myself, usually with a voice memo. So if you have a question about any of this stuff that we talked about, put it down in the comments below. I also, anytime I do a collaboration with somebody like Rob Built, unbelievable channel, one of my favorite channels.
Stop.
I legit will go down in the comments. If you guys have a question, I will go down and type myself, not my team, myself. I will type out any answer that you guys have about what we just talked about.
You're making me look bad now, guys. I'm gonna also answer all the comments too. All right, fine. All right, man. Well, thanks for watching today's episode of Rob Built. We'll catch you on the next one. Do me a favor, just go ahead and like cover the lens for me.
Okay, right now.
This is it. This is it. This is your